I'm Sarah with Queen's Eye Glassworks, and today I'm going to show you a little bit about how I combined colors. So today I'm going to go from this translucent pretty purple, I'm going to add this lavender fish color, a little bit darker, and this super dark like plum color, and make a mix of colors kind of like this so that I can make a dragon. You ready? All right, I'm just going to dive right into it. Okay, so I'm gonna start my torch, flame, a little bit of propane, and a little bit of oxygen. So we're gonna work on kind of a lower flame today for this particular project. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start by just warming up my base. That way the glasses can stick. You want it to be warm, but not all the way super hot. So I use borosilicate, which is one of the name brands for that is Pyrex. All right. So I'm already starting to warm up my main paper here. Then I'm going to warm up my second piece. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this up enough, hot, you see how it's red hot? To draw onto my other piece. So I'm just keeping my main rod hot-ish, warm, but I'm mainly heating my plum color. That way it's red hot. So the torch itself runs about 2,000 degrees. That's enough to get my Pyrex hot. Okay, so I got my first stripe down. So it's really important to try to keep whatever you're working on hot enough that it doesn't crack. So basically, it cracks when there are too many different temperatures. Like for instance, if one side is hot and the other side is not, as the molecules move faster and faster on the side that's hot and the side that's cool stays the same, that's when you start getting cracks. So it's like, ah! You know what I mean? Okay, so now I've got my lavenderish color and I'm just drawing on here the same way I did with the plum. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Almost done with the lavender. All right. Okay, so you see how I've got the dark and the light, and I can feel it cracking, so I'm going to get this back in the heat. All right, and then the third one I'm going to do is going to be this color, periwinkle is what it says. I don't know. I guess. I really thought periwinkle was bluer, but here we are. So today, what we're doing, oh boy, and I can feel it cracking, is we are blending these colors. So I've got a fairly translucent but purplish base. And then I've got a plum color, and I've got like a light lavender color. My goal here is to blend colors so that it doesn't look so flat. You know how, yeah, a one color dragon is cool and all, but if you really want to add dimension in life, that's what we're doing here. Just adding different colors. At this point, my base is getting more and more irritated with all the temperature changes. So what we're going to do, once I get this last little inch or so, is we're going to spend just a little bit of time just all up in that torch, trying to get it to come back to less of an irritated state. We're not going to get it all the way there, and that's not really what we're worried about, because what I'm going to do now And so I'm gonna attach this to the other side of my rod here, create kind of like a spick or spit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start really heating up little pieces of my rod here, like red hot, because what I want is for all of it to move. So like when I showed you my example twist earlier, you saw how it was like twisted together, and that's kind of how I blend my colors. So what I want is for it to be red, red, red hot. And that way it's more cohesive. I've definitely done color projects without blending it, but this twisting process really is kind of twofold for me as far as what I'm hoping to achieve. Firstly, I want more color diversity in my piece. Like I just mentioned, it kind of gives it dimension, keeps it from looking quite so flat. It really kind of gives it life, you know? When you're looking at stuff in life, you very rarely see things that are just one color. You know what I mean? And even if it is one color, you still have, you know, dark to light, you know, where the light is hitting it. And then the second reason that this is helpful is that it's taking the rod and kind of bringing it back together. So when we were stripping it, putting the extra strips of color on it, we were working with a bunch of different temperatures. So I would heat up little pieces hot enough to put the darker stripe on it, and then keep moving down the rod without going back into the torch a whole lot as I was going. And this meant that I had different temperatures up and down the rod. This, my friends, is a recipe for cracking. We don't want that. Bad. Bad. Cracking is bad. So it's kind of bringing it up in temperature and bringing those cracks back together. The thing actually that I like about glass a whole lot is that it's so forgiving. You know, you hear people talk about how fragile glass is, and it's true. But it's also really forgiving. The thing actually is glass and I have that in common. Neither one of us really like surprises. Otherwise, we can handle just about anything. So you see, I'm going through. So this is the part that's twisted. That's the part that I'm working on, and then into the stripes. So you can kind of see what I'm doing here. And as I'm working through this, I'm just gently bopping it in and out of the heat so that it doesn't get out of control. That's why I've got the torch down pretty low also. It's because we don't want it to, if it gets too hot, it'll just start melting all over the place, and then what are we gonna do? All right. Just about done with this first rod. I'm actually really only need to make one rod. It doesn't take a whole lot of glass to do the little work that I do. I mean, I mostly work on like a smaller scale versus, you know, people like Chihuly who do just massive projects. I don't have that much patience. Or a big enough kiln. You can see my kiln back there. Chihuly would be like, what am I supposed to do with that? Yep. All right. So I've got my color twisted. You can see it there. Okay, so I'm gonna set this in the oven and we'll see you back for the second video where I use it to make a dragon.